Hey, welcome to another episode of Conversations with Lynn. And last month, we had a great time just having casual conversations, celebrating my birthday. But this is March, and we are going to be getting into some really deep conversations. And this conversation was actually sparked by one of the young people in my mentorship program. And we were just talking about some different things that happened in the church. Like this young lady, new to the church, new to being a Christian, but she's a health nut. And she said, at our church, we do a lot of praying for people, but why don't we tell people to stop eating so many cookies? I looked at her and I said, you know what? You were so right. Because oftentimes we're praying for the sick. We're praying that they recover. We're praying that the Lord will heal them. But how many of those sicknesses, diseases are actually fed by our lifestyle? And so I thought I was going to spend the month of March and just talk about what are some things that are affecting women, but we have a part to play in our healing and our restoration. And so there'll be some spiritual things, there'll be some physical things, but we're just going to really dive deep. And so on my episode today, guys, I hooked a big fish. I mean, this is someone who has like millions of followers. She's on stages all over the world. Um, the fact that she's even on this show, I'm kind of like, she's doing me a big favor. So make sure that you share this, like this, get this out there because we have Dr. Kristal Vance on the show today. And we don't always get this. So we need to make sure that we are on point. So help me welcome Dr. Kristal to the stage.
Oh my goodness.
Hi.
Thank
Was that a good
you.
enough introduction?
Oh my gosh. I was like, well, heck, I want to listen to this chick. I wonder how smart she is.
You know what? I have just heard so much about you, and really, we haven't really got to spend a lot of time together,
Oh,
but we are kind of getting to know each other on a personal level. But and I've just heard little bits of your story, um, and most of it has just been your entrepreneurship. Like you've done some like amazing things. You are a author, a doctor, a coach, a public speaker. I mean, you've just done so much stuff. Um, but people really need to get to know you
yeah.
and your story because what I love about it, you didn't come to this just because you wanted to make a profit, just because you wanted to be so known around the world. You actually like have a story to tell. So just like share your story.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it. I think every single one, that's actually what's so important to me about what I do is that every single one of us have a story. And I just believe that the things that have happened to us aren't really meant to be to us, like as a victim. It's meant to be for us. And then if I don't go and tell someone else about the struggles and the mess and everything that I personally went through, it can't be used through me. And so I want, like, that's where God shows up in my life is that I can go and share my mess of a health story. Cause I was 300 pounds at one time. And what
Wow.
you just
Like
said,
I look at you, I'm just like,
no
really?
way.
Like, was it 300 pounds in your head? Like a lot of us women, let's be real. We get in the mirror and we see 300 pounds, even though other people like don't, but we see 300 pounds.
Yeah.
So were you really like 300 pounds?
So I hear real on the Bible reel, it hit 297 and I refused to get on the scale after that because I was like there's no way I can see it go over 300. Like I feel like I was going to have an
Mhm.
emotional break.
Yeah.
There was this fear that if I stepped on the scale and I saw it say error,
Mhm.
like you're so big the scale doesn't work anymore,
Mhm.
I couldn't take it. So but it was really a wake up call for me at that point that clearly I mean, there's a DR in front of my name. You would think I could fix myself.
So you were already a doctor
I
when it,
was.
like, this wasn't like, some of the stories that we tell and we were thin before we had kids and then it all, like, this was you.
This was my hot mess. I haven't even had kids to mess it up.
Yeah.
So but everybody has a story and everybody has a reason to why they get there. And a lot of times, there's absolutely going to be a personal piece in this of the decisions, like you said, the cookie. Like there is a personal piece in this, but there was also another piece of my health routine. And what I have found, many people don't realize that it's some really key foundational basic things that were messing up my health in the first place. And that was driving me to go after the cookie. And then when I started to really seek out the Lord and be like, would you please show me, I know what's happening in my body physically, but what's happening?
Yeah.
What's spiritually happening here?
I so concur with what you're saying, because I feel like, my side of the story is, psychology, like the study of the brain and emotional health. And when I would sit down in a therapy session with majority of the women, whether they were thin or not thin, most of them said emotional eating was one of their biggest vices. Like if they were just a naturally born, like, genetics, they come from that skinny family and they were blessed enough that they could eat whatever they wanted. It didn't matter. They were also still the person that was like emotionally eating. It was tied to their emotions and what they were going through. And so you talking about dealing with what's inside because it's affecting what's outside.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's important.
Yeah. So I grew up having autoimmune issues.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple contributing factors. And that's the thing, is we don't necessarily always look at the root of where something began. And for me, it began 4 years old. I ran into a sliding glass door and received a concussion. And then within a few weeks to a couple months, I had my kindergarten vaccinations. And so my body was already physically traumatized, and now I chemically traumatize it. And from that point, within about 2 weeks, my hair started to fall out. And it's
Wow.
like my mom took me to the doctor and she's like, she wasn't broken when I brought her in here, but she's broken when I leave. Like, what did you do to her?
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of set this precedence my whole life, because I dealt with these autoimmune is what they chalked it up to being, is alopecia. And I dealt with these things my whole life. Anytime I would have massive stress, it would kick up this autoimmune response and my body would start to drop my hair. And so through seasons of life, the only thing that they could use to stimulate the hair growth was to give me steroids. And so I don't know if you guys, are aware, but if you go and do a steroid pack, a Z pack, or whatever reason someone's doing steroids, it's good for about 15 to 20 pounds. We don't really pay attention to that, though, where we don't think about, oh, if I do a round of steroids, I'm going to gain some weight. But I was doing it monthly at one point. They were doing injections into my scalp. And so they were after a cause, right? They were going after this process, but they didn't realize what was happening on the other side. And what that was just totally destroying my hormone loop of how my body generates and creates hormones. Now, some of that is craving food. Some of that is mentally making great decisions. Like, there's a lot of things that are driven by those hormone loops, including weight gain and weight loss, or metabolism, or blood sugar levels, or cortisol spikes, or thyroid, hypo or hyper, all of that is part of it. So for for most of my life just be like, I'm fat.
Mm.
I'm eating myself. I'm going to do this next diet. Like, is it absolutely insane to think that me eating keto is going to fix all of those things
Yeah.
that were going on? But it's the only thing that got my attention, because when I looked in the mirror every morning, I didn't like what I saw.
Yeah. And the media tells you that, though. Everywhere you turn, it's the fad diet. It's the quick fix. And no one's really talking about how our medications are affecting our bodies that we think are okay. No one's like, who's talking about that? I think it's actually fairly new that they're even linking. Wow, this is like a touchy topic, right? It's
Totally.
actually really new that they are even linking vaccinations to autism and other learning disabilities that, I mean, people had learning disabilities. People had what was probably autism and different things, but the rate of it now is
Yeah.
so much greater. And I don't know. I'm not going. As I talk to everyone today, I am not saying that I am the guru on get your kids. I'm not saying don't get your kids vaccinated or whatever. That is between you, the Lord,
And your family.
what you believe. But
Yeah.
you do kind of see a parallel to some of these things.
Yeah.
And
And it's not just in medication. So I don't want because I believe that God gives us all of the resources for a reason.
Mhm.
But I do know that it's just as bad in our food supply and in our food chain. We're the only country that allows genetically modified grain to produce our fruit and our vegetables and our grains. Like, there's so many things that we're coming up against. And that's why, like, as my story progressed and as I ran after what I now say is this journey to just taking one healthy step after another, and
love that.
realizing it's so much more than a diet. It's so much more than one magical supplement that I can take and it's going to fix everything in my body. Like, it's a journey. It's a process. It'd be like looking at the Bible and saying, I have one scripture in there that's meant for me, and the rest of it I don't need.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense in any other
We would
way.
never say that. We would
Right.
never say that. We would never believe that. We would never even
Yeah.
But one thing that hits me with all of this, I should have looked it up before I got on there, but it's like all the different things in the Bible, right? And it's like, it literally says that gluttony is a sin. It literally says to treat our bodies
As a temple.
like a temple. And I think when that was said, it wasn't said lightly, because it was said to the group of people at that time where temples were holy places, not even just for the Jews. Every ethnic group living at that time worshiped something, whether it was a true God or false gods, demonic forces. They were all like, the temples were holy places. To the Jews, it was just like you would honor the temple.
Right.
You honored it. And then think about the Greeks at the time, who really honored the physical body, right? They were the founders of the Olympics. Sports and activities were like, they honored the brain, and, well, I don't know if they thought about being the brain, but logic and wisdom. But they also, like, the human body was important to them. And so when when it says your body's a temple, it was saying, listen, take care of it. And why? Because it's a temple that you don't even actually own. I own it. The Lord owns it, right?
Yeah.
Paid a really high price for it.
Yeah.
And yet we will put anything in it.
Yeah.
Anything without much thought.
Yeah. Because it tastes good.
It tastes good. But I mean, let's be real. why can't broccoli taste like chocolate?
Amen. I mean,
You know?
really. I mean, come on. I mean, oh my goodness, girl. I know, right? Why can't I crave, I don't know, almonds? Why do I have to crave Reese's cups,
You
right?
know?
It's like it doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
but it does. So about a week ago, I was really praying into this, and the Lord gave me a word, and he was talking about bad habits.
Mm.
And I thought about this, but okay, in those moments when we're struggling
Mm-hmm.
and we have this moment of, if you want to call it weakness, but there's something going on internally.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this, I call it the power of the pause. There's this moment.
Ooh,
There's
I
this
like
moment.
that.
Yeah, it's the power of the pause, and the power is God. But in this pause, there's like this conscious decision that we make. We literally have to make a decision. And the decision is, something is maybe not bothering me, but let's say something's bothering you. And do I lean in? Because if I lean
Mhm.
in, I'm leaning into God. I'm leaning into the pause, because this is where he's going to talk to me. This is where he's going to speak to me. This is where he's going to show up. Or in that moment, it's a lot of noise. Do I
Mm.
lean out? And do I use something to fill that space, that pause? Because I'm
Yeah.
uncomfortable, the uncomfortable sometimes
Yeah.
of the pause, the quiet.
Yeah.
It's like, no, give me that Oreo.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden the sugar is now blocking the
Wow.
communication. It literally is the way that the enemy. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't have to be an Oreo. What if it's a workout?
Mhm.
I'm totally stressed. I can't take this anymore. I'm just going to go do a workout. Well, that's not bad for you, but you still used it in
Yeah.
the moment of the pause that you could have leaned into him. We
Yeah.
grabbed something outside of us to
Yeah.
fill space,
So our bad habits
or good habits.
or good habits could be the enemy's way of getting us to either to not lean away from the Lord,
Yeah.
to lean away from him instead of leaning into him.
Instead of leaning into him.
Wow. You know,
And
I,
it's,
I in my mentorship program, we were studying the 12 ancient disciplines, right? And one of them is silence and solitude.
wow.
And how when we are in silence and solitude, the Lord can really work in us, reveal things to us, show us things that we may actually not want to hear or we can't hear because of the static. But in that silence, you're faced with who you really are, what you really believe.
Hmm.
And there is that power in that pause. But we rather have all the static, all the noise, because then we don't have to face ourselves.
Yeah.
We don't have to face I have this saying, and I think it's brought up every show that I do because every mentorship group, and it's, the Lord told me years ago that I was supposed to be hot. And I wished it was like hot,
It
but
is.
but
It is.
that wasn't what he meant. Thank you. You're now my favorite person. You're now officially my favorite because you lied to me right at the right
I'll
time.
tell you all the truth.
Right at the right times you lie to me. But it was that I was supposed to be honest, open, and transparent.
Um,
And if I could be honest, open, and transparent, I could have the healing in my life that I need
mm,
because he wanted to heal all the things I was willing to reveal. But the things that I wanted to keep hidden out of shame, out of fear, out of control, he was like, you want to keep it, you get to keep it. But if you give it to me, I'll heal it. And to do that, I would have to be honest with myself,
mm.
you
Wow.
know. And I think sometimes honest with yourself is one of the hardest things to do,
Yeah.
um, because we could justify,
Mm.
make excuses for absolutely anything.
Isn't it crazy that we're always so other people focused of how other people see us, but the number one person that it's the most important is how we see ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're so bad at it.
Man, man,
No,
are
we're
we?
so bad at it.
And we're so hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
Like we'll give grace to anyone else but ourselves.
100%. Like I would never say some of the things that I've caught myself saying to myself in the mirror. I would never say that to anyone else. And it reminds me of we used to have what's called a 5-level split house. So the living room is in the middle and all the rooms were upstairs all around it, and you could look down to the living room. And I came out of my room, and one of my girls, she shall stay unnamed because she would kill me if I did that. But she's like berating herself in the bathroom, just saying all like, all these different things. And Mama Bear comes out and I'm angry and I go stomping over to her like, you are not ugly. You are not. All the different things that are true. I mean, I believe that I have some pretty beautiful children.
And you do.
You may think I'm biased. I just think
Oh.
I can see. But so I'm saying all these wonderful things. And we hug and she's crying and she's feeling better. And I go to walk down the steps. And my son was in the living room playing video games. And he said, wow, doesn't she sound a lot like you?
Oh. You're like,
Stab to the heart, where she's just repeating all the negative things that I say about myself in the bathroom. I say about myself when I don't like how the jeans fit or the whatever. She's not saying anything that I don't say, but it sounds different coming from someone else. And my son was the one that checked me on it.
Yeah.
They hear. And I think that's something we as women have to remember, that the younger generation, they hear what we say.
Mm-hmm. And that in itself is that root. How we think then leads to how we act.
Yeah.
And so then it just becomes this big old discombobule of a mess. And we literally hold the keys to what we want. And I guess, as I go out and I'm talking to everyone about their health, the biggest thing that I have to overcome is teaching them that they're not broken.
Yeah.
You're not broken. If you're on here and you're hearing and you're like, but my health is this and my health is that. I mean, I still have alopecia. Like it has, this is an amazing wig. I love it, but I still
I love how you're so hot about that.
you know what? Like I can get ready in 5 minutes and there are not many that can say that. And I have beach hair and I have workout hair and I have going on the podcast with Lynne hair. Like, you know what? Like there are downfalls and there are definitely positives, but that's everything in our lives. And so, but if I looked at myself and stood in front of the mirror this morning without my wig on, and I looked at myself and went, you're broken. How is that helping me to have that mentality? You know what? I'm not broken. I'm actually pretty stinking amazing. And I'm going to continue to make one healthy step after another. And at some point in time, I pray for the healing of all these little hair follicles that they go, you know what? Rise and shine. Let's go. Let's grow up. Let's have this beautiful mane of hair for her.
Yeah.
I would love that to happen. But in the meantime, I'm going to do the best I can do with what is happening in my body. Yeah. And there was a lot of things I needed to clean up besides having hair on my head.
I think sometimes we focus on the things that aren't really what we need to focus on, right? We're so busy trying to fix this outer thing about us, the outer appearance, and we're corroding on the inside. Yeah. The Bible says that he's close to the brokenhearted. So you're not a broken person, but you may be brokenhearted. But the Lord wants to heal that brokenheartedness. Whatever has broken your heart, whether it is the autoimmune disease, the loss of a loved one, the loss of a career that you thought that you deserved or you wanted, whatever it might be. You know, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and he wants to heal that broken heart. And the healing of the broken heart is the first step to everything else being healed. That needs healed first. That's the first step. And I think if we can get women to understand that, and you know, the generation before us, they weren't talking like this, right?
No.
And so it's our opportunity to break that cycle
Yeah.
of uh, the feeling of worthlessness and devalued. And we can change a generation just by bringing healing to their hearts so that everything else comes into alignment naturally.
Yeah. I mean, Jesus used women the entire time he was on this planet. Like, they were main characters in so many stories.
Mm-hmm.
And now more than ever, I mean, who's the person who's purchasing the food for a home? Who is the person who sets the tone? Right? If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. But like,
100%.
right, we are the people who make a home for our families.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense that
Yeah.
this is where the enemy would attack how we see ourselves.
Mhm.
Because if we stay small, man,
Yeah.
how he can keep us under. But the minute we truly have that
Yeah.
brokenheartedness healed, and the minute
Yeah.
we realize that we are so much power and that we are these
Mhm.
leading women, we are
Yeah.
legendary women.
Yeah.
If we take our story and we go out there and we go, you know what, I was hurting, but
Yeah.
I'm going to, we just reveal it all.
Yeah.
And just be vulnerable. It's like,
Mhm.
wow, you're just like me. I'm just like
Yeah.
you.
Right. You know, it's amazing. I was sharing this the other day with someone, and I said, you know, I never got asked so many questions and got asked for so much advice about marriage until people found out that my husband and I went through some marriage issues. You know, as long as people thought that Bill and I had the perfect marriage, living in la la land, always the favor of the Lord, always people weren't asking my advice or for my help.
Nope.
Those questions came when they found out, oh, you had to walk through something. You had to actually forgive, release, and let some things go. You know, people want to and need to hear your story because it gives them hope that whatever is broken can be fixed.
Yep.
Whatever is hurting can be healed.
Yep.
But the first step is, are you willing to walk through the process to find that healing?
That's right.
Yeah.
And knowing that you're worthy of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Don't you think that's probably one of the biggest issues is we don't feel like we're worthy. I think that's one of the
He
biggest.
literally died on the cross for us.
Yeah.
And we don't think we're worthy to receive healing,
Yeah.
to receive love, to receive. We want to judge we want to judge it all.
Right.
We want to judge it. It's not he who's
Yeah.
judging it. It's we. It's so crazy. We are so worthy of it all.
Yeah. I had that conversation with, I don't even know what my son and I were even talking about, but a song came on the radio, and we were just singing along this worship song, and something about the cross came up in that song. And I said, and people don't even realize what kind of death that really was. Like, this wasn't something simple. And what Jesus went through for us, like, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
And he would have did it just for the one of us. You know, when he said, leave the 99 for the one, that wasn't a joke.
Mm-mm.
He would leave them all just for one person. And we have a hard time thinking that we're worth a kind word to ourselves from ourselves. Yeah.
It's the intensity of understanding how much we're loved, and then to look on the other side of it, of how we're treating ourselves. Like if we literally use the eyes that see us as a temple,
Mm-hmm.
we would just do so much so different.
So different. Yeah. Wow. That's good stuff. Like,
Ah, I love
you
it.
know, it's just, oh, and it's not, it's like, I have these conversations with some amazing women, and I'm I'm the one with the knowledge, and yet every conversation. I mean, I was talking with some teenagers on one of my calls, and they were like dropping some truth bombs. I was just like, guys, you got like it's in all of us. The wisdom is in all of us, and I think if we can all just, I love the meme that I saw years ago, and it was be the kind of woman that fixes your sister's crown instead of just pointing it out. You know, it's like if your sister's crown is crooked, just help her fix it.
Right?
Don't just
Don't
point
just
it out.
look at it,
You know,
talk
be
about
that for
it.
each other. If I
Right.
have gunk in my teeth, guys, don't let me walk around with gunk in my teeth. Tell me.
Right?
Tell me if there's something um in there that needs that. Tell me, because
Mm.
that's true love, right? That's true love. You know, we were talking about, you know, you have a real friend if you fall down and they laugh and then they help you get up. That's a real friend, right? Because
Yeah.
if a stranger falls, I'm like panicky for him, right? But when I
Right.
really know someone, I'm like, she'll be fine. It's funny, you know. I mean, I'm gonna help you, but I am probably gonna laugh first,
Picture,
and then
smile first.
we are gonna make sure this is Instagram postable right here,
Catch this
and then yeah.
moment.
Well,
Mm,
there's something that I normally do. I started doing this season that I didn't do with you, and I thought I was going to let you get out of it because you did actually share some real personal things.
yeah.
Okay. But I feel like the personal thing that you shared was pretty, like it was deep, and
Oh,
we always get to deep things. But I like my audience to learn something like, you know, what's that secret, like funny or crazy thing that you love to do that no, like maybe you've never admitted.
mhm.
Like on my show, I had to admit that I'm absolutely in love with Baby Yoda. And all over my house, I have little Baby Yoda things hidden, just strategically placed. And you may not even know that Baby Yoda is in the house, but it's here. He's here. And I've taken Baby Yoda on plane trips with me, sitting next to me on the chair. Yeah, I have pictures of Baby Yoda sitting with me on the beach on a chair.
I
Um,
love it.
like right here,
You're
there's a
like,
cup with Baby Yoda on it, just sitting here, like
hmm.
cutest thing ever. So, what is that thing that someone would be shocked to find out about the notorious, famous
I
Dr.
mean, I'm
Kristal?
pretty good about exposing all my stuff. I mean, somebody's gonna find it. I'm like, I might as well just tell you before you go digging for it. What is it? A lot of people don't know. You're okay.
See,
Okay.
I know there's always that thing. There's always that thing.
So you would look at me, and those who know me, I'm a little bit bougie. I love fun. I love anything that shimmers. Like I'm not gonna go like deck my whole outfit out in rhinestones. I mean, I'm not that girl, but I'm gonna have something shiny somewhere on me. I like a little bit of bougie. It's fun.
Okay,
Um,
I
so
don't see a problem with that.
Yeah, see,
Liking a little bit of
that's why
bougie?
we're friends. I love to work on cars.
Okay, now that is unique.
So when I was in junior high one summer, my dad and I went to a friend's backyard and they had an old Corvette, a 1970, I believe it was a 76 or a 78 Stingray Corvette in boxes in the backyard.
Like in
It's
pieces?
in pieces. It had been all dismantled. He had bought this car, he dismantled it, he was going to redo it, and he just never did. And I believe there might have been, I was young, but I believe the guy might have like traded my dad for something. And so he was like, well, I got this Corvette in the backyard, you guys can. So me and my dad spent that summer. It took us, I think, 2 or 3 truckloads of all of these pieces and parts of the Corvette. And I helped him rebuild this Corvette in our garage. And so I love to tear things down to rebuild it back up. And I think it comes from that root of doing that with him. Like, I love to see how a starter works or an alternator. So because I got all this experience of rebuilding
Wow.
this car, when I got into college, you would go to the dorm room to check out the tool, like the toolbox, right?
Right,
It
right.
had B&N, which was the name of my dorm, on the toolbox. And you would have to go down to the front desk and you would have to check it out, almost like a library card. No one could ever check it out because I always had it. Because all of my friends would come to me and be like, Kristal, my oil light is on. Can you fix it? Kristal, I think my alternator went out in my car. Can you fix it? And I would spend the weekends underneath people's cars with this little toolbox. I'm like, I need a 1/2-inch wrench, please. And they're like passing it down and I'm under the car fixing the car. So
Okay, now
I'm a car girl.
when you said that you were a little bougie, that didn't shock me. Like that was just like, okay, I get it. You like your nice things. Me too. Like, I'm gonna be a little bit upset if for Christmas I don't get something a little shiny, for my birthday, something a little shiny.
Yeah.
You know, I I like so that really wasn't shocking to me, but I am sitting here trying to picture you underneath someone's car
Oh, I love it. It's
or
so much
or
fun.
under the hood, like
Now, I ain't gonna lie, I don't like my hands dirty. So as soon as I get out of there, we're washing these babies off. Like
my mind is blown right now. Absolutely, like
but
my
you need a
mind is
fan
blown.
belt replaced, or you need a spark plug like spacer. Like, I can do it all. Clean terminal heads, but fix the radiator. I love it. Like, it's fascinating, but
Okay.
it's sort of like a human body. I'm the same way with the body. I love to see how the human body all works together. And a car is no different.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty cool.
There you
Like
go.
that's okay. I can't say that I share your love for that. Um, I don't listen. I am a well-kept woman. I'm the person who runs my car to like it's on fumes, and then I switch cars with my husband. He's
So
like,
he'll go fill it up.
He's like, you need gas, right? Because I was like, I need your keys to your car. He goes, need some gas.
Mm.
Yep. So the idea of me doing any of that, yeah, would never happen. But just the thought, I am trying to picture you doing that kind of stuff. Mine is blown.
I love
All
it.
right. But I love it. I'm learning that I have a lot of different gifts and talents. This is pretty cool.
Uh-huh.
But as we close, okay,
Yes.
if there was one motto, like the thing that you would want to leave women with, like when you're feeling, this is what I say to myself, this is the thing, the mantra that you live by, what would be that thing?
I think it's that you're not broken. You're
Not,
not broken.
yeah. Wow. That's so good. You're not broken.
You're
Well,
not.
thank you so much for jumping on today.
It
Thank
was
you for
fun.
being part of this conversation. I feel honored because I know people all over the world are just trying to get 5 minutes with you, and you gave me like 40.
I'd
So
give you
actually,
an
probably more
hour.
than that. So thank you so much. This has been awesome and can't wait to chat with you again.
Yes.
All
Same.
right.
All right.
Talk to you later. Bye bye. Wow. Wasn't that just an awesome conversation? She's amazing. And I love that you're not broken, that we walk through some things. Life is hard. Life is tough. Things happen to us, but we're not broken. And there is a God who loves you enough. The Bible says that he has counted the hairs on your head, that he knows every part of you. That's how much the Lord loves you. You're worth it all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please make sure, go on YouTube, like, subscribe, share all of Conversations with Lynne. And if you haven't registered for the Women's Emerge Conference, there is still time to do that. It's at the end of the month. It's going to be awesome. If you have any questions, please don't forget, you can always go to RMI Women's Emerge at gmail.com. But until next time, keep smiling.